says, you've got to do some live verticals, Adam. So I thought, well, what is that? And so this is me testing out exactly what a live vertical is. And I figured that it would be a good follow-up to yesterday's live stream because I had a very interesting message off the back of it. And there were some great questions asked as well about energy. So let's talk about energy and one of the biggest things that I have learned from this journey. And that is that everyone that teaches energy has their own slant on it. Now, it's a bit like, dare I say this, dare I use this analogy for fear of the hate that could come my way. But it is the difference between God and a priest's interpretation of what God is the difference between energy and an energy master's slant on what that is. Now, as soon as you add a human element when you're dealing with energy, you have a potential filter or that isn't necessarily a good one. So energy is pure, like God or Allah or Buddha or whatever it is that you think is your divine purpose. I'm not here to preach religion and I'm not here to deny it either. I'm saying that everyone has a supreme being or a source of energy. And that is the case with energy workers. For me, I don't believe in a God, but I believe in energy. And for all intents and purposes, whenever I've had any sort of religious or scholarly debate, they're the same thing. They are the same thing. The only difference is that I see energy as it could be God, it could be Allah, it could be Buddha, call it what you want. It is a supreme source for good that connects all of us. That's the key thing here, my Jedi friends. It's a Jedi energy. And if there are Jedis who are Muslims or Jedis who are Buddhists or Jedis who are Christians or Jedis who are atheists, they're all Jedis connected by the same force energy. And that is the main distinction on this journey, my Jedi friends. So I thought I'd get that over. I actually wrote out a reply to all of the messages. But part of me, when I got this message in to my inbox, and it was YouTube, you have to do live verticals. Do live verticals. I didn't even know what live vertical was till a couple of minutes ago, my Jedi friends. First one ever. I thought I'll test it out. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to do it nonetheless because Jedis are out there. We are all out there all the time. And there were some really, really good questions were brought up. So look at this. David John has come on and said hi. And I've even got Plant Lady and Altug. Oh my God, this is great. Jedis are coming out of everywhere. Well, thank you, my Jedi friends. I certainly didn't expect this degree of rapid engagement so quickly on my live stream because I was just testing it out. I didn't tell anyone I was going to do it. I'm just winging it. I'm here winging it. I had no plan. I had no content. I just wanted to see if it worked. And Jay is there that says hi. Well, thank you all, my Jedi friends. You are all Jedis. Let us energize each other together. We will energize each other together. That's what we're going to do, my Jedi friends. So let me summarize my whole virtually. It was about an hour of it yesterday. So since I've got a few Jedis in the house, I'm just going to summarize everything that I talked about on my live stream yesterday. And I've got Lewis on that says hi. Hi, Lewis. Great to have you here, my Jedi friend. It is good to see all these Jedis interacting with my content so quickly. This is great. This is a real treat. This is my first, for the people that came late, this is my first ever live vertical. And I can now see why live verticals are great because I've only been on here a few minutes. I didn't tell anyone I was coming on, and I've already got 8 of you on here. So kudos. This is most surprising, my Jedi friends. I never expected to see this. So let me summarize for you, my Jedi friends, as you all pile onto this live. I'm talking about energy. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I've worked with energy for 23 years. 23 years. That makes me a bit of a veteran. And also, prior to that, I had 13 years of frontline medical experience. So I'm coming at energy from somebody who's medically trained. medically trained, my Jedi friends. I've had a bit of medical, and then I went into the world of energy. And I've worked with energy, I've trained in different systems, I've had a lot of life experience, and I've worked on thousands of people and myself. Energy is really the ultimate gift to yourself, and they're the people that tend to work with it. So that's how energy is. But the point is, the reason that I wanted to get on here is that everyone that teaches energy seems to have a slightly different slant on it, which is cool. You know, I'm not here to destroy anybody else's belief system or to put anyone else's down. I'm just saying that there's a lot of nuance and there's a lot of contradiction within the world of energy teaching. And this is a perfect opportunity. If any of you are trained in energy, if any of you got any questions, you can throw them in, because my regulars will know that I'm pretty interactive. And so Jay's here and said that we are all energy beings. Facts, absolutely. Jay, we're on the same page. I believe exactly the same thing. That there's a lot of stuff that divides us here on this existence, on this planet, especially recently. Color, creed, culture, religion, lots of things to put people in little segues or little subgroups. And yet the reality is, within any creed, culture, race or religion, there's good, the bad and the ugly. Let's just call it as it is, my Jedi friends. That good people come in all shapes, colors and sizes, and so do bad ones. And it's not necessarily desired, it's not necessarily about a certain group or culture or creed or color or religion within that sector. So energy is a leveler. People that deal with energy, they realize that some people are good, some people are bad, some people are very ugly with the way that they deal with their energy or the way that they teach it. And so here we are. Here's Ali Reza Roster from Iran. Well, here's a little fact for you, Ali Reza. Firstly, thank you so much for joining this thread. And secondly, here's a little known fact that I have never mentioned on any of my videos, was that for several years I was an ambassador for the British Iranian network here in the UK, because some of my very good friends, some of my best friends are British Iranian. So there you go. There's a little known thing. We used to joke quite regularly that that's probably put me on the security networks for a lot of possibly MI5. Because I've got British Iranian friends and we can joke about stuff like that. And what was interesting, I'll tell you what I love about my friend Farry. I'm going to give him a shout out, who invited me to the network. He said, listen, Adam, it's like this. He said, if you're Iranian and you're British Iranian, he said, over here, when we're here in the UK, everyone thinks that you're a terrorist. And when you go back to Iran, they think you're a spy. So they're not safe anywhere they go. And they've got the best sense of humor and the best network. I spent many hours with my British Iranian friends, and they are great fun with a brilliant sense of humor. So Alireza, lovely to have you here on this thread. You're very welcome, my Jedi friend. And we're here today talking about energy and hopefully to create a bit of light to connect us all together. And I was originally only on here sort of winging it and testing what it is to do a live vertical. I've never done a live vertical before, and I didn't even know if I could or how or what or why, and then I just pressed a button and suddenly I'm live. So here we are. This is me winging it. I'd love to say that I did great preparation for this. I've got Linzarella. Yes, I've got Jedi on the call. Lovely to have you here, Linzarella. Well, I'm glad to see so many people are sort of jumping on. I've got Licked on here as well, another one of my Jedis. I've got Jedis coming out of the woodwork right now, my Jedi friends. So for the latecomers, I will just summarize it. I'm just testing out live verticals. Now, until about 10 minutes ago, I had no idea what that even meant. Truth. There's a truth pill, folks. I'm coming at it transparently. I had no idea what a live vertical actually was. And apparently, I got this message from YouTube telling me that live verticals are where it's at. and that if you're not doing live verticals, you're missing a great way to engage with your audience. And I thought, well, let's give it a go. Let us give it a go, my Jedi friends. I've been doing things through StreamYard, and I set things up, and I have to push in all account stuff. And here I can just turn on my camera, flip it over, and do a live vertical. What is that all about? Linzarella says, what about a live horizontal, lol? I think that might be OnlyFans, isn't it, Linz? Tina Clark is here. Tina, lovely to have you on board this stream, my Jedi friend. It's great to get all these messages so quickly on my first live vertical. So here we are. It's all good, friendly fun on here, and I am here talking about energy. But rather than talk about it, people that will know me will know that I don't just like to talk about it. I like to actually energize as we go. So for those of you that are still on the call, you know the drill here, my Jedi friends. Let's tap into a group energy field. Let us amplify each other's energy right now. Because rather than me just talking about concepts, you can actually get to feel what it's all about. So you're going to ground yourself right now. If you're new to grounding, then just imagine a ball of light at the center of the earth and a cord coming directly to the base of your spine. Slow down your breathing, because that will energize you anytime, any place, anywhere, because your breathing controls your mood. And now you're going to connect to a greater source of energy, a ball of light above your head. Imagine a ball of light above your head, energizing down with light coming through the top of your head now. So you've got light coming up your ass. You're coming to the base of your spine. Or it can come through your legs. It really depends which way you want to play it, my Jedi friends. However way you want to visualize it, the point being you're grounded, you're connected below, and you're now connecting to energy above you through a ball of light. And now through those balls of light, we're now going to send connections to everyone else on this call to connect with each other's energy and to energize each other. So every time you breathe in, you're breathing in more energy. And every time you breathe out, you're breathing out any stress or worries or things that you don't want any more of. My Jedi friends, that's how we do it. So rather than me just rambling on, and that's what I'm doing because I didn't prepare anything for this vertical live, apparently, that's what it's called. We may as well all tap into the group energy field. That's how it's done. So as you're listening, and please do jump in the comments if you've got any questions. If there's anything you want to ask, do jump in. My regulars will know that I read out everything. We go with the flow on these little live streams. So as you're doing this, slow down your breathing. Consciously slow it down. You don't have to hold your breath. You just have to slow down your breathing. And you'll feel better because your breathing controls your mood. So these are basic energy tips. And Licht says, I like it. Well, thank you, Licht. And for the record, it was Licht's birthday a couple of days ago. So he's been celebrating and he's been using advanced energy techniques, some of which he's created himself through coming to the Jedi Training Academy. That's, of course, a gratuitous plug because that's what I do. But Licht has been flying. He's absolutely been flying doing energy work through the Jedi Training Academy. So that's what we do. We teach practical energy, and it's as much a reminder to use it regularly because that's where it's at. So energy is good. And most people, if you're like me, let me tell you a little story. So when I first got into energy, I wasn't doing it for me. I didn't need help. I got into energy in my just one roundabout when I turned 30. And I was in great physical shape, really great physical shape when I was 30. I was a fitness instructor. I was traveling around the world. I was in brilliant shape. I was exercising, playing football about 4 or 5 times a week. I mean, I was in peak physical fitness. And I never thought there was anything wrong with me because I worked in a hospital. And to me, having stuff wrong with you was ending up in hospital. What I hadn't realized there is that most people end up in hospital with long-term conditions, with stuff that starts years earlier, but they don't notice symptoms. They don't notice the symptoms. They don't know how it happens. So when I went into energy work, it wasn't for me. I didn't need any help. That was my mindset. I didn't need help. I was all right. I was doing it for everyone else. I wanted to help people because I've always been sensitive to energy. I've always been highly empathic. And being sensitive to energy and being highly empathic, it usually comes together as being a people pleaser, which I certainly was back in the day, of wanting to help others, of feeling good through helping others, through dropping everything to go and help whoever needed help. And that's what I used to do. So when I first learned energy, it wasn't to help me, it was to help my granddad who had cancer at the time. I was going to do it for him, not for me. And after I finished the training, they said, right, you have to go and work on yourself for 3 weeks now. And I got a little bit shitty with the trainer. I said, well, hang on, I don't need to work on myself. There's other people need the energy, not me. And so reluctantly, I went off and I ended up working on myself. And I had a massive breakthrough. That was my first insight into energy. And it was also, my path has been a slightly more abrupt. A lot of people, when they work with energy, they think it's all sweetness and light and it's just going to have them feeling all tingly and lovely at the end of it. That was not my experience, my Jedi friends, because I was delusional when I started working with energy. I thought I was all right. I thought it's not me that needs help, it's everyone else. So when I started working with energy, and bear in mind, I was working with it for 3 weeks intensively, I started to feel worse and worse and worse and worse and develop pain. That was my inroad in. That was my introduction to energy. And at the end of it, I had this meltdown, this big catharsis. I ended up in tears. And I had this awareness that although I was physically in good shape, that mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I was pretty much bankrupt. And why was I bankrupt? Because I was mentally stunted through growing up in a narcissistic relationship with my mother. And I didn't really express love. I didn't tell my friends that I loved them. I didn't tell my family that I loved them. And then I spent 3 days going around and telling everyone that I loved them and having these big teary meltdowns. And then the pain went. And that's when I realized that that mental illness, that spiritual illness, that any illness, it starts in your mind. And it starts with little habits that we pick up early in life. So Lindarella's jumped in, working with energy, seems to bring up shadow work at full speed. Well, you would know, Linz. So for the record, Lindarella was in one of my previous Jedi training academies. And every time we spoke, she was very nice. She didn't want to upset anyone. She always apologized if she was going to say anything. So I'm sorry if I offend anyone with this. And part of being a Jedi, part of waking up, is being unapologetic about speaking your truth. And we got you there, didn't we, Lindarella? We got you there in the end. And Alltug says, hello, Lindsay. You're absolutely correct. I'm deep down in my shadow and sink deeper like the Titanic. Well, in fairness, Alltug, we have to embrace our shadow on this journey. We really do. Part of light work, part of energy work is integration of our shadow. And Lindsay and Alltug were in the same group together, so they know each other as well. And she says, lovely to see you here, Alltug. See, it's like a reunion. It's like a Jedi reunion, my Jedi friends. Who'd have thought my little tester of a live vertical was going to reconnect my Jedi friends? Well, it's already been a win as far as I'm concerned. This has been a successful test. A successful test, my Jedi friends. Ironically, I'm looking here at all the controls. I don't even know how to end this thing when it's time. Like, it's because it's my first one. Just pressing a little button here. Apparently it's got a thing where I can flip it. I guess that would change the angle of the lens. I can mute myself. I can hide the live video. There's a thing that's got retouch on it. Right, my Jedi friends, I'm going to press it just for fun because I don't know what it does. Retouch is on, apparently. I don't know what it does. I don't know how it responds. I've just done retouch. There's another button there. Just want to find out what it is. I think it's a highlight. I don't know what that does. Oh look, there's a green screen as well. There's lighting. Let's press that. Let's have a little play. I've pressed lighting, folks. I don't know if it's done anything or made any major changes. Sorry for being my guinea pigs on this, but this is my first one that I've tested. So I'm going to have a little play with it. Since I know a lot of the Jedis on here, I know you'll forgive me for having wanton experimentation on my first ever live vertical. We're rocking with it, my Jedi friends, rocking with a live vertical. And it's the first one ever. So for anyone that's jumped in that wasn't here when we did the Energy Connect, everybody on this call, we are energizing each other. First thing you're going to do is ground yourself. Imagine a ball of light at the center of the earth connecting to the base of your spine, a cord of Jedi light connecting to the base of your spine, and a ball of light above you, projecting light down through your body. Now from that ball above you, you're just going to set the intention to connect with the group energy through this call, which means we are concurrently energizing each other. And here's the beauty of it, my Jedi friends. You don't even have to believe it for it to work. You have to listen to the instructions, allow it to happen, set your energy up, and it's done. It is done like a slam dunk through the screen. So there you have it, Jedi Live. So I want to go back to one of the comments that came from yesterday's live session. Somebody telling me that their Reiki master telling them all sorts of things. Now, there's some brilliant Reiki masters out there. I think it's really important I start with that. But there's also some people that have got some very strange ideas about what energy is. And certainly within Reiki, they love their little symbols and you have to write them in certain ways or they don't work. There's a lot of BS out there, my Jedi friends. Lots of BS out in the way that some people teach energy techniques, when in actual fact, energy work is very simple. The hardest part is staying on track and dealing with the stuff that like Altug and Linzarella are having to deal with. The energy isn't always sparkly light and sweet peace and love. It's sometimes about integrating your dark side. And now I want to clarify what that means. So we are moving into the realm that anyone that's new to me is probably going to struggle with. But if you're regular on the channel, you'll absolutely know it. So people that are sensitive to energy are sent down here for some sort of soul purpose. And mainly that is holding space, which means that people will be fulfilling their purpose without even realizing that they're doing it, because just being here and holding space is good enough. Now, finding meaning within that, especially with the darkness that is on the planet at the moment, is the tough part of the equation. And that's why people that are sensitive to energy are drawn to energy work. People that are sensitive to people, to moods, will be drawn to content like this because trying to make sense of where it's all at. And what will happen, because being sensitive to energy and being an empath and being a people pleaser, it really restricts having any boundaries. And so what the life journey is, that people will have their boundaries violated, usually attracting narcissistic people into their world, until they hit a point that they're so fed up that boundaries become a necessity. And it's at this part of finding the boundaries that all the darkness comes up. It's pretty much where you reach the no nonsense zone, that someone's violated your boundaries so badly that creating your own boundaries or creating really fixed boundaries is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. And it can only become a necessity when somebody takes the piss so much out of you that your fury rises, your darkness rises. And when I say darkness, what does that actually mean? That's the part of you that hates getting screwed over. The part of you that hates getting screwed over is your dark side. And it will rise. It will rise as long as you allow it, make it okay, make excuses for bad behavior. And here's another thing I hear a lot. Oh, but they try. Here's an example, and I'm not going to mention a name because I'd never do that. So I was talking to a friend the other day, and they were talking about their narcissistic mother, a narcissistic mother. And they were talking about all of these things that they did to them. Doesn't listen, demands my time, encroaches the boundaries, phones me during work hours. I've asked her not to do it. Oh, but she cares. I know that she cares, and I know that she's stressed. They violate the boundaries, and the empath makes excuses for it. This is the problem, my Jedi friends. When you start making excuses for narcissists breaching your boundaries, going against things you've asked them to do, violating your requests, you start to enable it. And the dark side of you is the parts like, when are you going to wake up to this? The part of you that feels angry, but then lets it go. Feel angry, you let it go. This is the problem. The problem is you enable narcissism by making excuses for their bad behavior to a point. And this is when we talk about the dark side. It's not necessarily completely dark, but it could get that. If you spend a lifetime of being pushed around, eventually you'll have enough. Eventually, this is being bullied on the school playground. You realize, I realize for my generation, this is probably apparent. I've probably not so much for the next generation. I think playgrounds are probably a more peaceful place than they were in my day. But in my day, if people used to come and punch you in the playground and you did nothing about it, you get more punches. And the only way out of that was to punch back occasionally. Now, the first time you punch back, you probably get a beating on top of it, but it positions you as the person that is going to punch back, and there's always an easier target. So being able to fight back, to draw barriers, to boundaries, to bad behavior will make you a little bit less approachable, will make it a little less easier for narcissists to have their wicked way with you, to take the piss, to violate your boundaries. So it's really important. Your dark side is the bit that does push back, that does strike the punch, even though you might get beaten up originally, but it puts boundaries in place because it's had enough. It's had enough, my Jedi friends. And Lick says, no more excuses. Absolutely. Absolutely. No more excuses, Lick. And this is also, one thing that Lick has really come to own. We've talked a lot about finding people that are your vibe tribe and whatnot, but working with energy, the main thing about it is to take control of your own energy. And that is not dependent on anyone else. You have to start with yourself. Starting with yourself is the most important part of the equation. So Linzarella's back. This happened to me as an adult. Ha ha ha. And don't threaten to punch your harassing, nasty neighbor. The victim becomes the crime. Hang on, my eyes are playing up here, Lynn. Sorry, because I'm on YouTube vertical, and here's another truth bomb for you. My sight is not as good as it used to be. I can see the nasty neighbor and victimless crime becomes the crime or something along those. So yes, I've noticed your anger rising, and it needed to, let's be honest. It needed to. You're being too nice to too many arseholes. And, when you wake up to that dynamic, things do shift. And it's not always easy, and environments are not always right. And sometimes there's instance where it's probably not a good idea to have a go. So you still need discretion within it, especially when there's safety issues that come with it. So there you go, my Jedi friends. So here I am. I'm reaching the half an hour mark, and look at me rambling away when I was just going to test things out on this live vertical. So I feel that we may have drawn to a conclusion here, my Jedi friends. And Lindarella says balance. Yes, that's what you need. You need balance. Discernment, my Jedi friends. So, unless any of you have got any further questions, I shall probably wrap this up in a couple of minutes. Because I was only ever going to test this. I didn't plan this session at all. But given the success that it's had and how many of my Jedi friends have popped up on it, which is a lot more than on most of my live streams, considering I didn't advertise it at all, it's been great. It's been great. So Tina's back. I love my dark side. She's a beast. And I'll think twice now before trying to steal my energy. Well done, Tina. It's actually incredibly liberating. The empath that integrates dark side energy is a liberating place. It really is. Because you now learn to see narcissism in its early manifestations and cut right the way through the nonsense. So the angry empath is a dangerous person to mess with. Because yes, you still have the capacity, your default energy is to help people, but you see through the shit as well. You learn to cut right through it, and you learn how to call out bad behavior and narcissism because your boundaries are really clear. My boundaries have never been clearer at this stage in life. And what happens is a lot of your network will fall away. People that were there because you allowed them to take the piss. That doesn't happen anymore. So here we have Plant Lady. Yes, I'm boundless. And that's why I had the Reiki Master I had. Read this morning, 7-point reply, thanks. You're very welcome, Plant Lady. Your question and my reply gave me the content for this live, so thank you. It's only people asking me good questions and, broadening my awareness of what else is going out in the world of energy that helps me to create the content around this. So well done to you. And Altug said, so shadow is my real protector. And what I considered my light actually causes mayhem in my life. How do I explain my light side? It's actually hurting instead of harming. So it's an interesting point that you make there, Altug. Yes, being a light being, but being a people-pleasing light being with no boundaries is dangerous to yourself. It's dangerous to yourself. And I'll tell you why. Because this is the classic example of giving from an empty cup. If you're sensitive to energy, the odds are you're highly empathic. Highly empathic, which moves most empaths into the realm of people pleaser, which means that they'll spend a lot of your life doing stuff to please others, often at the cost of your own well-being. And we're not talking about stuff that you do because you're glad to do it. We're talking about people asking you to do stuff that you really don't want to do. So let's take an example. It's your one day off and a friend asks you at point blank notice, I need help moving house. And you've just settled down. You've been looking forward to this day off and they didn't give you any notice and they now expect you to drop everything and go and help them. Because you're such an empath, you feel obliged to go. And you probably would have done that in the past and you'd have felt bad about it. But your desire to fit in and be a good friend made you drop everything and go and help them, even though it ruined your day off. It murdered it, my Jedi friends, but your need to please overrode your need to look after yourself. This is exactly what I'm talking about here. It's learning to say no when it doesn't suit you. Because your real friends wouldn't want you to be low energy or to ruin one day off if you've been looking forward to it, especially on short notice. And what you realize until you wake up to this is how many fair weather friends you have. People that you drop everything to do stuff for, but they wouldn't do it for you. There's a litmus test. There's a litmus test, my Jedi friends. Now, if that same friend would do in reverse, would drop everything to help you against them, then that's a different conversation. But the thing is, with most empaths, the need to fit in means you've never even tested that boundary. So there you have it. Don't give from an empty cup, my Jedi friends. So I hope that's answered your question, Altug. I mean, I know that you've had difficulty in maintaining this or in dealing with it, and it's been life-threatening in your condition or position or situation. So, you've got to trust your gut. I mean, your story you told where you didn't get, you went and stayed in another place where you should have been in a place that ended up getting bombed. That's exactly the time to trust your gut. It's kept you alive, my Jedi friend. It has kept you alive. Trust your gut. And that all the darkness that you perceive, it could be a message just to say, no, we're not going to help others now. I need to look after myself. And you definitely need to look after yourself and prioritize your own energy. And I would say that to anybody out there on the healing journey. On the healing journey, because we cannot give from an empty vessel, my Jedi friends. And there you have it. You heard it here. You heard it here on the live stream. So, my Jedi friends, I feel that concludes today's little random ramble. Except I'm looking at the screen. I don't even know how to stop it. I've started, but I can't stop. I just cannot stop myself, my Jedi friends. So I'm going to press the X at the top of the screen. This could end it. It just might do something random. But in case it does end it, I shall wish you all a fantastic weekend ahead. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been a real gift that so many of you jumped on and got involved, especially since I didn't give anyone any notice for this vertical live, which I decided to test today. Well, it's been tested now, folks. I've done my first vertical. It's my first live vertical. It has been done. So thanks, Altug. I shall see you later. Linzarella, thank you. You have a great weekend too, my dear. Licht, I will see you next week. I will indeed. Thank you all my Jedi friends for joining in. And Plant Lady, and thank you for your great questions as well. And for joining me on yesterday's live stream. That is always a bonus. So, my Jedi friends, I'm going to press this X. Now, it might end it, might not. But if it does, adios. Oh, are you sure you want to disconnect and stop streaming? Yes, I do. See ya.